Hello, my name is Joshua Mgabi. I welcome you to Plant Physiology. Why do plants need to exchange gases with the environment? Plants need to do gas exchange because they create aerobic cellular respiration like animals, and they need to get molecular oxygen to release carbon dioxide. Besides aerobic respiration, plants need to get carbon dioxide to make photosynthesis and to release molecular oxygen. That is the product of this reaction. What are the main gas exchange organs in plants? How is the process accomplished? In the covering of the leaves and of the primary structure of the stem, gas exchange is made through the cuticle and pores of the epidermis. In the covering of the secondary structures of the stem of the woody plants, gas exchange is made through the lens cells of the pelyderm. Those are small breaches of the cork. Gas exchange in plants is accomplished by simple diffusion. What is plant transpiration? What are the two main types of plant transpiration process? Which of them is most significant in volume? Transpiration is the loss of water from the plant to the atmosphere in form of vapor. Transpiration occurs through the cuticle of the epidermis, which we call cuticular transpiration, or through the osteoles of the stomata, stomatotranspiration. The most important is the stomatotranspiration, since it is more intense and physiological regulated. What are stomata? How do these structures participate in plant transpiration? Stomata, singular stoma, are small specialized passage for water and gases present in the epidermis of the plants. As the plants needs more or less to lose water and heat, the stomata respectively close or open, preventing or allowing the passage of gases by diffusion. What are the elements that constitute of the stomata? The stoma is made up of the central opening, the ostiole or slit, delimited by two guard cells responsible for its closing or opening. The substomatal chamber is located under the ostiole. What do plants control? The opening and closing of the stomata. The opening and the closing of the stomata depends on the necessity of the plant to lose water and heat through transpiration. That is, the exit of water vapor means elimination of heat. When the plant has excess water, the guard cell becomes tagged and the ostiole opens. When little water is available, the guard cells become flaccid and the ostiole close. Water enters and goes out of the stomata by osmosis. Other factors like light intensity, carbon dioxide concentration in the leaves influence the opening and closing of the stomata. When luminosity is high, the photosynthesis rate increases and the stomata opens to absorb more carbon dioxide from the environment and release heat. When luminosity is low, the stomata tend to close. When the carbon dioxide concentration in the photosynthetic parenchyma is low, the stomata open to absorb more gas and make photosynthesis possible. When such concentration is high, the stomata tends to close. Do plants placed under an environment drier than their habitat where they are used to living have an increase or reduction in the time during their stomata remain open? If plants from a moister region were transferred to a drier region, probably their stomata would remain closed for a long time. That is, time during which stomatas are open will be reduced to lower the loss of water by transpiration. Why do some plants adapted to drier environment open their stomata only at night? During the day, in a dry habitat, the guard cell becomes flaccid and the stomata closes. Concurrently, carbon dioxide is disallowed to participate in the diurnal photosynthesis. Some plants from dry regions solve this problem through the method of nocturnal carbon dioxide fixation. At night, when the water loss by transpiration is lower, the stomata opens. Carbon dioxide enters and is stored within the parenchyma tissue. During the day, the stored gas is mobilized to be used in photosynthesis. How has the position of the stomata changed in some plants to prevent excessive water loss by transpiration? In some plants that have leaves that receive too much sunlight, the stomata concentrate in the inferior epidermis, so their heating is lower and less water is lost by stomatotranspiration. In other plants in drier environment, the stomata groups in some region of the leaves. Over the surface of these areas, water concentration of the air is higher. Comparing to environments, the loss of water by transpiration is thus reduced. Some plants in dry climates also have stomatas within cavities. Is transpiration the only way through which leaves lose water? Plants do not lose water as vapor by transpiration. Leaves also lose water in form of a liquid by a phenomenon known as guttation. Guttation takes place through the structure called hydrathodes, similar to stomatas. Guttation mainly occurs when transpiration is difficult due to high air humidity when the plant is placed in a waterless soil. When air humidity is high, does the plant transpiration increases or lower? When air humidity is high, transpiration diminishes. Since transpiration is a simple diffusion process, it depends on the concentration gradient of water between the plant and the environment. If the atmosphere has too much water vapor, the gradient becomes lower and even reversed. How do plant absorption volume and the water transpiration volume comparatively vary in plant in the day? What is the final comparative balance of these processes? During the day, the transpired volume of water is higher than the volume absorbed by the roots. At night, the situation reverses and the roots absorb more water than transpired volume. It is observed that the transpired and absorbed volume practically equal in the day. How do plants solve the problem of transporting substances throughout their tissue? In bryophytes, the substrate transport is done by diffusion. In trachophytes, those are the pteridophytes, gymnosperms, and angiosperms, there are specialized conductive vessels, the xylem that carries water and mineral salts, and the phloem that conducts organic material. Is transportation of gases in trachophytes made through vesicular tissue? Carbon dioxide and oxygen are not transported through the xylem or the phloem. These gases reaches the cell and exit the plant by diffusion through intercellular spaces or between neighboring cells. Are the xylem and the phloem made of living cells? The cells that constitute the xylem ducts are dead cells, killed by lignin pole disposition. The cells of the phloem are living cells. What is the importance of lignin for the xylem formation? Lignin is important because it is deposited on the cell wall of the xylem cell, providing impermeability and rigidity of the xylem vessels. What is root pressure? Root pressure is the pressure that forces water from the soil to be absorbed by the xylem of the root. It is due to the osmotic gradient between the interior of the root and the soil. What is capillarity? How is this phenomenon chemically explained? What is the relevance of capillarity for water transport in plants? Capillarity is the phenomenon through which water moves inside extremely thin tubes, capillaries, aided by attraction of water molecules between the capillary wall and the water. Capillary phenomenon is possible because water is a polar molecule and forms intermolecular hydrogen bonds. Therefore, there is electrical attraction and adhesion forces between the capillary wall and the water molecules that then pull each other, cohesion force, since they are bound. Not just water, but other liquids may move inside the capillaries by capillarities. Capillarity is not too relevant for the transport of water in the plant. It contributes only a few centimeters of ascension. What are the forces that make water to flow within the xylem from the roots to the leaves? Water enters the root due to root pressure, and water column is maintained within the xylem from the root to the leaves. The most important factor that makes water ascend is transpiration, mainly in the leaves. The leaves lose water by transpiration. Their cells tend to attract more water, creating a suction inside the xylem. The cohesion property of water that keeps its molecules bound, one pulls another by hydrogen bonds, helps the process. What is tree girdling? What happens when the tree girdle is removed from the stem below the branch? Malupigis girdling or tree girdling is the removal of the stem of a complete external girdle containing the phloem, that is more external, but preserving the xylem, that is more internal. When the girdle like that is removed below the branches of the plant, the plant dies because organic food sugar is disallowed to pass the region below the girdle. Thus the root die from lack of nutrients. Since roots die, the plant does not get water and mineral salts and dies too. What are plant hormones? Plant hormones are also called phytohormones, are substances that control embryonic development and the growth of the adult plant. What are the main natural plant hormones and what are their respective effects? The main natural hormone and their respective function are the following. We have oxygen. The best known natural oxygen is IAA, indole acetic acid. Their function is to promote plant growth, distension, and cellular differentiation. Gibberellins have a similar action to oxygens, that is growth and distension, stimulating flowering and fruit formation, and activates seed germination. Cytokinins, these ones increases cellular division, right? And together with oxygen help growth and tissue differentiation, slow the plant aging. Ethylene or ethene, the gas released by plant that participate in growth process and has a noteworthy role of fruit ripening and leaf abscission. What is the plant coleoptile? Why does the removal of the coleoptile extremity disallows plant growth? Coleoptile is the first heliostructure of the sprouting plant that emerges from the seed. It encloses the young stem and the first leaves protecting them. The top of the coleoptile generally is a region where oxygens are made. It is a region when removed, plant growth stops, since oxygens are necessary to promote growth and tissue differentiation. What is indolacetic acid, IAA? Indolacetic acid, indole-3 acetic acid, or IAA, is the main natural oxygen made by plants. It promotes plant growth and cellular differentiation. What are synthetic oxygens and what are their uses? Synthetic oxygens like indole-butyric acid, IBA, and naphthenic acid, NAA, are substances similar to IAA, natural oxygen, but artificially made. Some are used to accelerate methods of asexual reproduction, like grafting or budding. Others are used as herbicides, since they selectively kill some plants, mainly dicots. Where in plants is a large amount of IAA formed? Oxygens are produced and formed in a large amount in the apical buds of the stem and shoots and in young leaves. What do phytohormones help to develop the parthenocarpic fruits? Parthenocarpic fruits are those produced without vegetation. Some plants naturally make parthenocarpic fruits, like the banana trees, stimulated by their own hormones. Angiosperms that do not naturally produce parthenocarpic fruits may do it if oxygens are applied to the flowers before vegetation. Therefore, even without vegetation, ovaries grow and fruits are formed through seedlings. How do oxygens act, helping the lateral secondary growth of the stem? Oxygens stimulate the formation of conducting vessels, that is the xylem and the phloem, promoting thickening of the stem. What happens when oxygen concentration in some structures of a plant is over the action range of the hormone? In some parts of the plants, the stem, the roots, and lateral buds, there are oxygen concentration ranges in which the hormonal action is positive, stimulate growth. It is observed that the concentration over the superior limit of this range have opposite effect, inhibition of growth. What is the phenomenon of apical dominance in plants? How can it be artificially eliminated? Apical dominance is a phenomenon through which high oxygen concentration due to oxygen formation, the apical bud moving downward the stem inhibits the growth of the lateral buds of the plant. At the beginning of the stem development, the apical dominance causes the plant growth to be a longitudinal upwards, since growth of lateral buds remains inhibited. As the lateral buds become more distant from the apex, the oxygen concentration in these buds lowers and the shoot grows more easily. The growth of tree branches can be stimulated, preventing the apical dominance through removal of the apical bud. What are gibberellins? Where are they produced? Gibberellins are plant hormones that stimulate plant growth, flowering, and fruit formation. Also, parthenocarping and the germination of seeds. There are more than 70 known types of gibberellins. Gibberellins are made in the apical buds and in the young leaves. What are cytokinins? Where are they made? Cytokinin are phytohormones active in the promotion of cellular division. They slow down the aging of tissues and act together with oxygen, stimulating plant growth. Cytokinins are produced by the root meristems and distributed through the xylem. What are plant hormones remarkable for stimulating flowering and fruit ripening? What are the uses and practical inconveniences of that hormone? The plant hormone, notable for stimulating and accelerating fruit ripening, and is a gas, ethylene. By being a gas, ethylene acts only on plants that produces it, but also the neighboring ones. Some food processing industries use ethylene to accelerate fruit ripening. On the other hand, it is in its intensification and acceleration of food ripening is not desirable, care must be taken to prevent mixture of ripe fruits that release ethylene within the others. Are the development and growth of plants only influenced by hormones? Physical and chemical environment factors like intensity and position of light in relation to the plant, gravitation forces, temperature, mechanical pressure, chemical composition of the soil and of the atmosphere can also influence the growth and development of the plant. What are plant tropisms? Tropism, a movement caused by external stimulus. In botany, the studied plant tropism are phototropism, tropism in response to light, geotropism, tropism in response to Earth gravity, thigmotropism, tropism in response to mechanical stimulus. To which direction does the growth of one side of the stem, branch, roots induce the structure to curve? Whenever one side of the stem, branch, or root grows more than the other side, the structure curves towards the side that grows less. This is an important concept for plant tropism problems. What is phototropism? Phototropism is the movement of the plant structure in response to light. Phototropism may be positive or negative. Positive phototropism is that in which the plant movement or growth is towards the light source. And negative tropism is that in which the movement is inverse, away from the light source. Tropism relates to oxygen, since exposition of one side of the plant to light makes this hormone concentrate on the dark side. The fact makes oxygen action upon the stem to be positive. The growth of the dark side is more intense. The plant acts towards the lighter side. In the roots, when submitted to light in general experimentally, the oxygen action is negative over the positive range. The growth of the dark side is inhibited and the root curves towards this side. What are the types of plant geotropism? Why do the stem and the root present opposite geotropism? The type of geotropism are opposite geotropism, that in which plant grows in favor of the gravitational force, as for example in roots. The negative geotropism that against the gravitation force, for example, in the stem. Root geotropism and stem geotropism are opposed due to different sensitivities to oxygen concentration in these structures. The following experiment can demonstrate the phenomenon. Stems and roots are placed in a horizontal position that is parallel to the ground, and naturally oxygen concentrate along their bottom part. Under this condition, it is observed the stem grows upward and the root grows downwards. This happens because the stem, the high oxygen concentration in the bottom makes the side grow, that is longitudinally, more, and the structure acts upwards. In the root, high oxygen concentration in the bottom inhibits the growth of this side, and the upper side grows more, making the root to arc downwards. What is thigmotropism? Thigmotropism is the movement or growth of the plant in response to mechanical stimuli, that is touch or physical contact, as when the plant grows around a supporting rod. It occurs, for example, in grapes, passion fruit, vines, etc. What is photoperiod? Photoperiod is the daily time period of light exposure of a living being. Photoperiod may vary according to the period of the year. What is photoperiodism? Photoperiodism is the biological response presented by some living being to their daily time of light exposure, photoperiod. What are the plant organs responsible for the perception of light variation? What is the pigment responsible for this perception? Leaves are mainly responsible for perception of light intensity in plants. The pigment that performs the perception and commands photoperiodism is called phytochrome. How does the photoperiodism affect flowering and of some plants? Flowering is a typical and easy to observe example of photoperiodism. Most flowering plants flower only during specific period of the year when placed under some condition of daily illumination. This occurs because the blossoming depends on the duration of the photoperiod, that is, in its turn, varies with the season of the year. Flowering is also affected by exposition to certain temperatures. What is the critical photoperiod? How can the critical photoperiod relate to flowering be experimentally determined? The critical photoperiod is the limit of the photoperiod duration for the occurrence of some biological response. This limit can be a maximum or a minimum according to the characteristics of biological response and to the studied plant. To determine the critical photoperiod relating to flowering, 24 groups of plants of the same species can be taken and the flowering experiment can be done. Each group is submitted to different photoperiod. The first group, 1 hour of daily exposure to light. The second, 2 hours. The third, 3 hours, and so on until the last group is exposed to 24 hours. It is observed later that beyond the specific duration of light exposure, plants present or do not present flowering, and the remaining submitted to the shorter photoperiod present opposite behavior. The duration of light exposure that separates these two groups is the critical photoperiod. How do plants classify according to their photoperiodism? Best flowering. According to their photoperiodism, best flowering plants classify as long day plants those that depend on longer photoperiods than the critical period to flower, as shorter day plants those that depend on shorter photoperiods than the critical period to flower, and as indifferent plants whose flowering does not depend on the photoperiod. Why do most plants present opposite phyllotaxic? Phyllotaxis is the way leaves are arranged on the shoots. Most plants have opposite phyllotaxis, alternating in sequence, one on one side of the shoot, the following in the opposite side, as a solution to prevent self-shading of the leaves, thus improving efficiency of photosynthesis. Thank you very much for participating in Plant Physiology. Please do like, share, and subscribe.